everyone, welcome to episode 117 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I've been knitting and spinning on for the past week. Today it is Saturday, May 31st, and I have a lot of things to talk about for this week. Really exciting because I have a lot of finished objects. It is crazy. I feel like it's been a while since I've had like a big project that was like a finished object. It feels that way for some reason, but I think it's because I've had a lot of projects that I maybe started around the same time or were in the same part of like the make. Just like I didn't have like a staggered, like I just started some, finishing some others, and so I was working on them a lot, and then all of a sudden they all were at the end of the project, and I was like, I want to see how many I can knock out, just get off my needles this week so that I can have like just feel refreshed with not having that many whips on the needles and maybe feel inspired to cast on something new. I don't think I have a new cast on this week though, but I've picked up some older projects that you haven't seen in some time, and I'm excited to get back to those because yeah, there were just some projects that I haven't touched for a while. So really excited for today's video. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Okay, let's talk about what I'm wearing today because this is the Bespoke cardigan by Nikki, who is Stitch Story on Instagram and also on Etsy, which is where she sells this pattern if you're curious. This is the crochet cardigan that I finished last week, and I actually finished sewing on the buttons this week or last week, and so I can actually show it to you wearing it and what it looks like with the buttons on. I'm very, very happy with it. First, details before I stand up and show it to you. I used the Rerum Natura Gilliat yarn in the colorway Cacao, and I made size 1, and I used a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook to make this. I did go down, I think, one hook size for this cardigan. And yeah, it's really exciting because I'm pretty sure this is the first crochet cardigan that I've ever made, like crocheted. And so it's really exciting. I think that the fit is great. And speaking of fit, my finished final measurements for this is about 40 inches in circumference. And this is with the buttons closed, like the front of the cardigan closed. That gives me about 10 inches of positive ease, and it's a little bit bigger than the stated circumference in the pattern for the size. I did stretch it a little bit when I washed and blocked it, and yeah, I will talk about let me just stand up and show it to you all. So this is what the cardigan looks like. It is very, very cute. It looks, again, this texture is really cool, or this stitch for crochet, because this is actually worked sideways and it's worked flat in pieces. So the front part, and then each of the fronts, the back is worked separately. The sleeves are also worked separately and sideways, flat in pieces, and you do have to seam things together. But because the stitches on this are so large, it really didn't feel like seaming was that much of a problem for me. It's very drop shoulder. So yeah, and here's the sleeve length. Last time I talked about it, I was really worried that the sleeves were going to be too short. And I do want to talk about measurements because my measurements are a little off from the pattern, and this is just me gauge. This is a gauge issue on my part. But I do want to show you a close-up of the buttons. I absolutely love the button band on this. It's all crocheted, and it just looks like a double knit, what a double knit button band would look like. Okay, one thing I noticed, I absolutely love my button choice here. I think that the color just matches my yarn choice really nicely, and it's a fun shape. It's a square. I did notice, this is my first time using square shaped buttons, and I was like, oh, it's a little, I didn't realize, like, it's hard to make them all kind of like straight up and down. Also, actually, like, there's only 2 holes, and so it's like, do you make them side by side or are they up and down? I don't think it like really matters. I did try to do them all the same way, but they kind of just like, you know, they kind of turn a little bit when you use them and when you're like touching them, and so it's a little bit like that, but it's fun and I just love it. I'm very, very, very happy with this cardigan. Okay, sizing and gauge. So when I first started this project, I forget which front side, but I just followed whatever front panel, either right or left, was what you make first in the pattern is what I started with, and that I use as my gauge swatch, which is a huge gauge swatch, but I did, as I mentioned, I sized down my crochet hook because my gauge has always been large compared to other crochet patterns, and I've never I never made a pattern by Nikki before, but I did kind of like crochet a little bit with the recommended needle size, hook size, and I was like, yes, this is too big. So, you know, I ripped it out. I've already ripped out quite a bit of times just because of my own error, because I'm not used to crocheting things. I just made some mistakes and I had to rip out a lot. But I did wash and block a finished like one of the front sides, and I checked the measurements and I was like, it is right on gauge, and so I am good, I'm great. Finished all the rest of the pieces. When I did the sleeves, I felt like they were kind of short, but I was like, this is a very drop shoulder pattern, and so the sleeves will just be shorter if I want them to be at whatever length that I like. They will still be shorter than any other cardigan that maybe the armhole starts more up here versus like down here, right? So it was all, fine. I did not recheck my gauge for any of the other pieces, but then I washed and blocked them all separately, flat, and then I joined all the pieces together. I crocheted the button band on, and then washed and blocked the whole piece again as a whole. And that's when I did a little bit of stretching out during the blocking, because I guess before the final block of the entire piece together, I did put it on, and I was like, I think my sleeves were like up here, and I was like, oh no, I should have measured the sleeves before. I could have made changes and made it longer. The only thing about making the sleeves longer is because it's crocheted flat and sideways, I can't just crochet more onto the end to make it longer, because kind of like the cast on is the length of the sleeve, and so I would have to rip out the entire thing, I think, and cast on more stitches to do that. But I didn't, and I was like, it's fine, I will just block it and stretch it out a bit, and that did help it a lot. You can see the sleeve is a great length. I think most people like this length of sleeve where it stops to like right at the wrist or right before the wrist. I have always said I do prefer longer. Like, I would like it if it kind of went like this. I just like long sleeves, but this is a fine like length. Actually, I think works really great. It's nice to have a cardigan that is cozy and kind of boxy, because this is 10 inches of positive ease on me, and to have a bit of a shorter sleeve than I'm used to, because then I feel like I'm comfy and cozy, but I can still kind of like do stuff and not feel like my sleeves are in the way. And so it really just turned out to be a great length for me, the sleeves. One thing though is that actually my sleeve, I rechecked my gauge once this cardigan was all done. I rechecked my gauge in different spots, and I think my crocheting might have tightened up throughout the making of this entire cardigan, because again, in the beginning when I measured one of the sides, it was right on gauge, both stitch and row count. But I did notice when I was putting together the pieces that one of the sides, which must have been my first side that I made, was just a little bit bigger than the other of the front side. And so I think I might have tightened up, and so my gauge, it's weird though, because like I've said, the circumference is actually a little bit bigger than the pattern, but everything is a little bit shorter. So like the actual measurement from like the shoulder to the hem is shorter. I want to say maybe like 1.5 inches or 2 inches shorter than pattern, and it's because of my gauge. So whichever side, I think it's, again, it's worked sideways, and so I think it's my stitch count, my stitch gauge is shorter. And that means my sleeves are also actually, just measurement of the sleeve is shorter than the pattern too, because my gauge this way is shorter, smaller than the pattern. So with that, I've been wearing this cardigan throughout this past week, and I absolutely love it. I just love the Gilliat yarn. It's a really great semi-woolen, I think it's semi-woolen spun yarn, and so it has that nice thickness and coziness, like woolly feel without it being itchy. Like it is a soft, poofy kind of yarn feel, and but it's not heavy. It does not feel heavy. It's really nice and just kind of like airy, but is thick. Like I feel like it'll keep me warm, but not like suffocating me warm. And it's great. I love it. The color is great. I think it'll go with a lot of things in my wardrobe. I just like, I love the look of it. It looks like a 1x1 rib, or like a maybe like a fisherman's rib type, like, because it's a really like poofy kind of stitch, or a large stitch, but it's not wholly either. It's really great. I'm very, very happy with this. I would absolutely love to make, I feel like this cardigan is one that if you made in multiple colors, it's a great staple piece to have in your wardrobe. And if you have it in different colors, you can match with all different kinds of outfits that you have. And so I would absolutely love to make this again. And I think the one change that I would do is I probably would actually use the pattern stated crochet hook. So I would go up a crochet hook size from the one that I've used to make this, just because it seemed like my tension, my gauge tightened up when I was making this, and just so that I can have a different color, but also maybe maybe a slightly longer fit for this. I think, let me stand up again. It is on the crop side. You can see like the top of my pants here. But I would say my belly button's like right here, right where this last button is. So it is on the crop side for me, but I think it's really cute how it looks like this. And as long as I'm wearing high-waisted pants, like it's totally fine and comfortable. Sleeves, again, this is a great, like this length of sleeve, but I also would love to have one that's a little bit longer. And again, that's all on me. That is a gauge thing. That is not the pattern. It's not a pattern issue at all. So yeah, I would love to have this again, or make this again in a different color. I mean, I'm thinking, since this is a dark one, just having a lighter color, maybe like a white or a cream or a light gray would be really fun. I probably would just use a Rerum Natura yarn again for it, because it's just so great. But yeah, so that's the Bespoke cardigan. I still need to take finished object pictures. It's just been, I feel like I have such a backlog of finished objects that I need to take pictures of and post them on Instagram, but I'm trying to get through them. But yeah, we'll see. But, even though I haven't posted pictures of this on Instagram yet or anything, I have been living in it and wearing it and loving it, and it's been great. I really, really have been loving this, and it's really nice to have a crochet garment that I'm like really, really, really like, because I've made other things crochet garment wise, and I don't wear them as much as my knitted things, but this definitely is going to be a well worn and loved cardigan for a while. I think it's honestly really, really great. So again, Bespoke cardigan by Nikki, stitch story. I'm so happy with it. Okay, let's move on to my finished objects. I have 5 finished objects to talk about this week. And so I have more finished objects to talk about than my actual whips. At least because those were unfinished, and I really just worked on all of these this week to get them done. Okay, and most of them, all of them are also washed and blocked, and so they've gotten to an even more finished state than the ones I have been talking about lately. Okay, let's talk about my shawl, my Salt and Timber shawl by Lindsey Fowler. It's done, and now that it's blocked and off the needles, you can just see how, like, the actual, like, length, like, wingspan and the shape of this is just like a half circle almost. Very nice. The yarn I use is Sewrella Yarn Classic Sock in the colorway Theater. So it's a tonal color, and this is a one size shawl. I use US 6 needles, 5mm needles to knit this, and it's beautiful. The pattern, now you can see it, I think, a lot more clearly. It does start here in very small sections, and it does just increase. And so we've got garter stitch with increases. You can see these like zigzag sections here where it's stockinette within the garter stitch. And then we've got the section with all of the trees. And then I really like this detail part here. You can see these kind of like waves happening like this. It kind of looks like scalloped edge, you know? And then it ends with a nice 3x2 ribbing right at the end, very long section. Well, it's 3 inches, I think, from this. I wasn't actually sure in the pattern if they wanted this to be 3 inches or this to be 3 inches, and I decided to make this 3 inches. So I had enough yarn for it, and so it was great. Here it is. It's kind of hard to, I should move back a little bit so you can see it all. It is great. I haven't tried to drape it around me yet, but maybe I should so you can see it. Ooh, that is nice. I don't know, do I have a shawl that I've made that's in this shape? I want to say, I made so many that probably, but this is a really nice drape over the shoulders. I don't feel like it is long enough. I should hold it like this. It kind of looks like wings, like it doesn't seem like, anyway, I don't think that I need to tie it for it to not fall off my shoulders as long as I'm not doing something super crazy. It's very cute. I'm gonna just sit and work with the shawl on if I'm getting a little cold, and so that's really nice. And yeah, I think it's great. I'm really happy with how it came out. I've been wanting to make this shawl ever since, you know, the book, which this pattern is in, came out, and so it's just, I feel really accomplished for finishing this. It did only take 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and so it's a great way to use up 2 skeins as well, and it was pretty fun to work on. I did need to look at the instructions for any of like the patterns and the charting for the trees, but I think it was really worth it. It's really nice. You know, like I feel like it's a subtle design, you know, because it really is just like the stitches. There's no, you know, there's not like lots of cables or anything. Like most of it, I mean, the trees are made using kind of like a twisting stitch, or like, you know, you do like the 1/1 type of stitches. But everything else really is just pretty simple. Again, the zigzags was just like, the pattern is just in the different stitches of stockinette versus garter stitch, and then reverse stockinette on the bottom here. So it's like, it's really nice. Using a tonal color is probably the easiest way to see this pattern if you knit it up versus like a super variegated, but you know, nothing's stopping you from knitting this in a variegated colorway as well. But yeah, I just really love it. Very cute design, and happy it's done. It was very quick to wash and block, or like to the drying part of that too, because it is fingering weight. So I am very pleased with this shawl. Happy to have another shawl in my wardrobe. So that's been really happy. I've been enjoying that. It's a bit, I mean, it's a little cool lately. I could sometimes put this on if I'm feeling a little chilly during work or something, but it is getting a little bit warmer now, so that shawl might have to wait to get worn a bit more later on in the year. Okay, let's move into this one. Okay, the only thing is this is done except for sewing on the buttons. I haven't picked buttons for this yet, so it might take a while, but I will probably still wear it even before putting buttons on. Okay, my mark at Henley, it's done. This is a pattern by Claire Jackson, and the yarn I use for this is Knits Earthy Sock in the colorway in Bloom. I knit size 36 inches, which is the final measurement in circumference. I haven't checked mine yet, but that is the size that I have knit. And I use US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles for the main part of this knit. It looks so great. It is wash and block, so it smells nice. All the stitches are laying really nice and flat and just like looking so nice and drapey. I haven't tried it on yet. I literally just pulled this off of the blocking mats right before filming this video, and so I'm really, really excited to try this on. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to fit really nicely. It already, gosh, it feels so nice. This is my first time using the Knits Earthy Sock base, which is the non-superwash yarn. So excited to see how that feels on the skin. It's so good. The colors are so pretty. I need to just hold it up a little bit closer. You can see I don't have buttons here. I think there's 3 that there's buttonholes for, but who knows? I want to wait for like some inspiration for some cute buttons for this. I don't know if I should go for like a fun shape, solid color, multicolor, or something like that. I don't even know what color I would go for, but yeah, overall, super, super happy with this, how this turned out. I know I'm gonna love wearing this, and I think because it is in fingering weight, I think right now, the temperature, since it's kind of going back and forth between hot and cold, or at least cool, it's a good transition piece during this time of the year. So I'm very, 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 very happy with my mark at Henley. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It's really, really, really nice. And this is my first finished object using a Claire Jackson perfectly knotted pattern, and so that's been a fun kind of journey to go through, because her pattern, the way she has her patterns and how she writes them, are very different from other designers that I've knit patterns from. There's a lot more pages, but it's just because she has like she has more explanations, and also like she has tables of the numbers for each of the sizes for the instructions, and then in the instructions there's like blanks and that you fill in those like stitch counts or inch amount or whatever she has in the tables. And so that way it makes it easier when you're reading the pattern, so that you just know for your size what that is. You don't have to always read through the whole list of numbers. But it did take some getting used to, and I don't usually mark up my patterns anyway when I knit, and so it was kind of like I really had to kind of go in and like write in the numbers. But worth it for the finished object. Very, very, very pleased with this. I've been absolutely loving all of my, did I ever not like a finished object? I like some more than others, but I've been very happy with the ones that I finished, especially this week. Maybe part of it is because I feel like I'm finishing projects, and it feels nice to get these all off of the needles. Okay, this is another one that I just finished. Also, all of these I will wear in a future podcast episode, but I can only wear, well, I guess I could switch in the podcast to different outfits, but like that's a lot of work, and so I will just be wearing one of these for each of the episodes in the upcoming episodes. But this one also is another one I did not sew on the buttons, and so this one might be a little hard for me to hold it up. But this is my Vila cardigan by Marzena, and this was the preview knit for Woolberry that I've talked about. This is like, I think, the quickest that I've ever knit a cardigan. You can see the really cute ruffle sleeve here. And now that it's blocked, the front parts are actually like flat, so you can see that. The neck shaping here, it's a round neck. I-cord edgings all around. You can see the buttonholes here. There's 8 of them. I do have buttons in mind for them, so I just need to sew those on, maybe this coming week. A tippy toe here, you can see there's ribbing right at the bottom. Overall, a very pretty looking cardigan. This was the preview knit for Woolberry's Caboose 2.0 collection. So the yarn I use for this is the Berry Sport base in the colorway Cool Breeze. As you can tell, it is a really nice light blue color. So pretty and so delicate looking with the light blue color. Again, it's just a really pretty cardigan to have. It's going to be perfect once I put on the buttons for this. I have a lot of V-neck cardigans, and so it's exciting to have a non-V-neck cardigan in my wardrobe right now. Like I'm pretty sure I must have other round neck cardigans, but yeah, not as much as the V-necks. And so it'll be nice to have this shape, this style of cardigan, also with the ruffle sleeves. Oh, so pretty. I need to figure out like all the outfits that I can wear with this. I mean, this would be so pretty over a dress. And I just think, sport weight yarn, it's in between a fingering and a DK weight. And so it's perfect for, I feel like this time of year where it's keeps you warm enough, but it's not so warm where it feels kind of bulky. And yeah, it's just going to be great. I knit size 1 of this, and I used US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles to knit this. I did talk about this in one of the other videos when I was talking about the make of this, and I'll talk more about all of these finished objects when I actually wear them in the podcast too. But one thing I've noticed, this is I think my only second pattern from Marzena that I've knit, and I've noticed I think that her gauge is either her gauge or that she knits tightly, or that the yarn she uses with the weights is actually a little bit thinner than the yarn that I've used. So for this one, she used in her version of it, it was 1 strand of knitting for olive merino plus the knitting for olive mohair, which usually that's like a fingering weight plus a fluffy yarn, either like, for me, I always think mohair or Sari, and for me, just Sari, because mohair makes me pretty itchy. And also that combination usually equals DK weight. So if I were to not use a fluffy yarn, I would just default to DK weight. However, I knew from the first pattern, and I also looked at the gauge and looked at the gauge of other projects that I've used in DK weight yarn, and I thought that it was pretty small. And so I decided to go for sport weight yarn, and I think it was perfect. I was still a little bit, I think my stitch gauge was on, row gauge a little big still with the sport weight yarn, but I think that the resulting fabric and the drape of this is really nice. And so sport weight yarn, I think, really, really great for this pattern. And yeah, I think I said all the details for that. I will talk about it more and wear it in a future podcast episode. And when I do that, the buttons will be sewed on for this for sure. So yeah, but that is my finished Vila cardigan. I think I finished this in like 2 weeks, which is crazy. Crazy. I definitely felt like a crazy person working on this that quickly. And I want to make sure that I say that even though this is a preview knit for Woolberry, there was no requirement for us this round because we got the yarn later than expected. There was no requirement for us to finish or even like cast on the project. So it was my own challenge to myself to get as much of this done before the release. And so I think I had both sleeves done and some of the body, like, until a little bit under the underarms. I had that done for the collection release, and then I finished the body after. And so I would love to get finished object pictures of this sooner than maybe some of the other ones, just because this has kind of been, like the collection is now closed, but I would still like, while it's still somewhat fresh in some people's minds, to get a picture of this on the grid, but we'll see. We'll see. I have a lot of things I want to do and not enough time. Okay. And these next finished objects, excuse me, these are the ones I did not wash and block. I should have. I forgot about them, to be honest. But I finished, I don't know why I put them on my hands to show it to you, but I finished my May socks. I was a little worried about not finishing them, which I don't know why I was worried, because it really wasn't like that much of a time crunch, but I finished them earlier this week because I really wanted to get them done in May, ready to cast on my June socks, but not quite yet. But these are my May socks. These are the Monday Sunday socks by Sari Nordlund, and I used a fingering weight sock yarn that I hand dyed myself in this kind of green color, and I knit size 1. There's only 2 sizes for this, and the 2 sizes are really just, I think, use a different, one uses fingering weight, the other uses DK weight, I think, or sport weight, like fingering sport weight, but size 1. And I used US 1 needles, 2.25 millimeter needles to knit this. That's my default for sock knitting. And you can see it's just all over cables. I will actually fold it sideways now so you can see what that looks like. It's an all over cable pattern, just all around the leg of the sock, and then just the top part of the sock on the foot. It was worked top down, or cuff down, with a heel flap and gusset for the heel. And I'm very happy with them. I think that, actually haven't tried them on my foot yet. I did while I was knitting it, and so I know it's fine. But I didn't do that with both of them. On my feet, I will probably just do that after I wash them. But here's what it looks like. And as far as pattern repeats go, if that's interesting, I did just try to finish it right where it crosses again before doing the toe, just so that it has a complete kind of cable section there. But yeah, it's a very interesting cable pattern, because it's not just a 2 over 2 or anything like that. There's a bit of I don't know, there's kind of 1, 2, 3 posts kind of going on in each of these oval shapes, with some I want to say garter stitch, but it's kind of just one stitch where it goes purl, knit, kind of down in between those stockinette or knit columns. So yeah, really cool, interesting, but not too complicated to work on. Again, though, with socks that have a chart with them, they're a bit harder for me to work on, because I have to look at the chart whenever I'm working on the sock. So that was they always take a bit longer for me to knit, but I think I'm realizing that I love cabled socks. They're just so great. I like cabled socks more than lace socks. But yeah, really great. I'm very happy that I finished my May socks in May. And now that we're I guess we still have June before I say, this is, the 5th pair of socks this year, which is, I think, a lot more than I've probably done, at least definitely probably more than I've done at this time of the year anyway. If I keep this up and have 12 socks at the end of the year, I think that will be the most socks that I knit in a year. And I wonder if I don't think I'm tired of knitting socks yet. I mean, it kind of is just back-to-back socks, but I think it helps that I don't ever really need those needles for any other projects, and so I don't feel like I'm that needle is stuck there when I need it for something else. And socks are always just kind of a nice smaller project to work on sometimes. But yeah, I've been having a pretty good time. I feel maybe, this time I was feeling a little stressed, I gotta work on the socks, versus it's kind of, I want to work on the socks. It was a little bit more I should just work on the socks just to get them done this time, but I'm happy with the end product of them. So it was just more, just had to get the socks done, but it wasn't because I didn't like it. It was just maybe I'm feeling a bit of the sock. Like I've been knitting a lot of socks. But yeah, I'm hoping next month's socks will be a nice refresh. I feel like casting on something new anyway is just a nice kind of like a nice feeling to do. And so anytime I cast on new socks, it's always like, ooh, nice, new cast on. So, but yeah, these are my Monday, Sunday socks. Done. And then, okay, the last finished object I want to talk about, I actually didn't finish it this past week. I finished it maybe a couple weeks ago, but it's the first time I get to talk about it because this was the secret test knit that I've been working on, and the pattern and yarn is now released for it, so I get to talk about it a little bit longer, and I do plan on wearing this probably in next week's episode so I can talk more about it, and so I'll just briefly talk about it now so that you can, and also so that you can see it off of my body first, and then you can see me wearing it in a future podcast episode. So this is the Crippen Cardigan by Tayler Harris for Woolfolk yarn, and it is a reverse stockinette cardigan, and so the purl side is out. You can see it here. Has some 1x1 rib for the neck. There's 3 buttons with just this little bit opening at the top here, and just for a little stitch detail right at the sleeve pickup is actually a 1x1 rib before continuing on in reverse stockinette. Thankfully for the sleeves, because that's worked in the round, instead of purling all the way around, the instructions actually have you knit it inside out so that you just knit in the round and then it's turned inside out for the finish. And so that is really nice because then you don't have to do just all purling for the sleeves. And what's really cool about this cardigan is that it is with a new yarn from them, and so I actually got to like try out this yarn before it was released for sale. This is their new yarn called Brise, and it's spelled B-R-I-S-E, although it says pronounced Brise, like B-R-E-E-Z-E, and it is a wool and cotton yarn. It is a chainette yarn, and I think it's like the first time that I've used maybe a chainette yarn, potentially. I do want to mention that I did, as part of this test knit, I did get this yarn for free for this test knit. So just wanted to mention that. And I will say, this yarn feels amazing. And Woolfolk yarn is expensive. It is. I am aware of the price on them. However, I do think that the feel of them is just, I think is part of the reason why they're so expensive. They just feel amazing. And this yarn in particular, because it's a cotton yarn, it was merino cotton, and I wasn't sure what to expect before I got the yarn. When I picked up the ball of yarn for the first time, I was very surprised and shocked. I don't know what I was expecting to feel. I think I was expecting it to feel like cotton, like other cotton yarn. This is a DK weight yarn. I was expecting it to feel like other cotton yarn that I've used before, which is just like kind of dry, and like, you know, I know once it's knit up and you're wearing it, it's really nice and cool and breathable, and, you know, doesn't like stick to you, or it's not itchy, right? But like kind of has this like dry feeling, kind of has this like, it's just not stretchy, not fluffy or anything like that. But when I picked up this yarn, I was like, oh, it is nice and cool to the touch, probably because of the cotton, but it feels soft and smooth, kind of silky, and didn't have that dryness at all while working with it. Just felt really, really nice. It's just super nice and smooth. It does not feel dense either. I think because of the chainette construction, it has that airiness, and it kind of just has a little bit of a stretch. Not really. Stretch feels a little bit too strong of a word, but it didn't have that like unstretchable kind of string rope feeling. It had this nice loftiness to it. And the gauge for this is a little dense. However, it just has this, you can just see how it's like laying, like it's a really nice drape. It's really soft. I can probably sleep in this if I wanted to. Like, it's not itchy at all. It's just, honestly, really, really nice yarn to knit with, and to also like have on my skin, like right up against my skin. Super, super nice. And the yarn color that I chose, or that I got, I could have, I think, like a top 3 choice, and then they would pick one for me. I think that this one was actually in the beginning. I think it was before they had the color names kind of like totally figured out for it, but it was gray. Even in this light though, does it look greenish to you? In my pictures on Instagram, in sunlight, they definitely look greenish, but it is not the teal color. I think it is the olive color that they're called it on their website for this yarn. And I'm pretty sure it is the B04 color. Because definitely in some lights, if you're not looking too closely, it looks gray. Like, it's a slightly darker color, but yeah, definitely in certain lights, it's like this darker, like green, like a forest green. Maybe not even forest green, but like a dark green, not a teal. But I love it. And obviously it's not like a solid color. You can see lots of white in there, and I believe that's probably the cotton part of it. But it's a really great, I think, kind of morally, is that the right word? Kind of look to the yarn, and it's great. I love it. I have also been wearing this cardigan quite a bit once I finished it, and I think what's really nice about it is because it has that cotton content in it, and it has that cool to the touch kind of feel. It's really nice as a warmer weather cardigan to have when you're just like a little cool to put on if you're wearing like a tank top or a t-shirt, and then put this cardigan on. But it also would work, I think, in cold weather too, because I think because the gauge is pretty tight. I did wear this one time on a walk. Actually, it was when I was took my finished object pictures for this cardigan. I wore a long sleeve, and then I wore this over it because it was kind of more of a cloudy day, so it was colder outside, and it was so warm, super warm. And so I'm really happy that this can work in kind of warmer weather and also colder weather as well, so that I can wear it all the time. As far as fit, and I'll talk more about fit probably next week when I'm wearing it, or whenever future video it is that I'm wearing it. It is a very large cardigan. It is oversized, I would say. It doesn't have to be. You can pick a size smaller. But I did knit size 1, so this is the smallest size. I will talk about finished measurements again when I wear it in a future podcast episode, but I use US 6 needles, 4.0 millimeter needles to knit this. And there's a good amount of positive ease, and the sleeves are actually pretty long. And so this is also a very drop shoulder cardigan. It goes really below my shoulders, and the sleeves were already a pretty long length to knit, and so the sleeves are long. These are long. But obviously you can make them shorter if you don't like long sleeves, or this long sleeves. They definitely go, I want to say they might go like this on me, but I do love that for the coziness. And then the neckline, because there is no button right at the top, it is, you'll see again when I wear it that it does kind of go, it's a bit wider on the neck than some of my other cardigans. And so, like, for example, for this cardigan that I'm wearing right now, it's pretty, up here on my neck, but I think this one falls a little bit farther on my neck. You can see it's maybe like right here instead of up here. So it, again, has a wider neck and also opens up a little bit, but that does just, it's like part of the design kind of thing. So yeah, here it is. And I did sew buttons on it. Thank goodness I actually wanted to sew on some different buttons, but they didn't fit in the buttonholes, and so I had to go with these other ones. But I think it works out really nicely, and yeah, I love, this is my second time test knitting for Tayler Harris, for Woolfolk, and it was a great experience. This time we had, I think last time, or the first time that I test knit for her, which is also another cardigan design, I realized, there was no, like, chat with other test knitters, but this time around there was a Slack channel with other testers. It wasn't all that talkative, but we kind of mainly use it for questions or for posting some pictures, some progress, and for progress updates if they wanted, or when they asked for how we're doing. So that was really great, I thought. Yeah, here it is. It's done. And it's something like I couldn't talk about on the podcast, and so you really didn't even get to see the full kind of make of it. But yeah, I did have to power through this one. So if there were any weeks that I was like, I didn't really have that much updates to show you all those, because most of it went to this cardigan here. But I think it's really worth it, and yeah, I can't wait to talk more about it. I've already talked a lot about it, but can't wait to talk more about it, and basically all my other finished objects whenever I rewear it or when I wear it for a podcast. I'll just talk more about the fit and how it's been wearing since I finished it. So yeah, okay, that is, did I say, was it 5 or was it 6? 5 finished objects for this week to talk about. Whew. Okay. Let's move on to whips. Don't worry. There's only 3 whips, and they're fun ones. They're fun ones. Okay. I want to just talk quickly first about this one. This is my Metropolitan Pullover by Tori U. It is what I am knitting for the PKW Flock U Knitalong with my friends. Let me hold it up. It must be, I am looking for my stitch marker. Oh, okay. It must be the stitch marker. I finished one sleeve. I decided to go for the straight sleeve version. Oh, this is, again, sorry, the Metropolitan Pullover by Tori U. The yarn I'm using is Camellia Fiber Company Som DK in the colorway New York. It's kind of like this gray blue color. And I'm knitting size 1, and I'm using US 8 needles, 5.0 millimeter needles to knit this. Okay, so again, I finished a whole sleeve right here. I'm pretty sure I knit this to pattern lengthwise and the straight sleeve option, so no decreases. I don't think there's any decreases, and then you just use a smaller needle to knit the I-cord cuff. And then I've started the second sleeve. The sleeve actually works up pretty quickly. I mean, it's a large gauge with large needles. Really fluffy sweater. So it's nice. I do feel like I've been working on sleeves a lot the past few weeks, but these ones are nice. And they're also just all in stockinette, since I don't have to worry about decreases. I also don't really have to count. I just need to look at the length. And so that has been working out pretty great. But yeah, it's now finally at least half of it. If I hold it this side, it's starting to look like an actual sweater with a finished sleeve, which is nice. And then last time, did I also do I must have done this last time. I feel like I remember talking about this, but if not, I did do the neck, rolled neck stitches. So yeah, it's going great. I think that this would be an easy project to finish up, because after I finish the second sleeve, I just have the body to do, which is all in stockinette, and so it's a great, really relaxing knit to work on, because again, it's just like all in stockinette. It's just all knitting with a very fluffy yarn with a very large gauge. I think the only thing is that because the needles are so large compared to the other projects that I've been working on, it just feels kind of funny in the beginning to work on it because the needles just feel so large. But it's been great. I'm looking forward to the finished object of this. This is also my first time using this yarn, and I've been really liking it. It's so soft and fluffy. Just excited to see how it feels against the skin once it's done. So quick update on my Metropolitan Pullover. Next up, I picked this up again, finally. This is my one test knit that I have on my needles right now. This is my Islander vest by Claire Jackson, perfectly knotted, and so this is my second knitted thing by her that I've made, and this is a test knit. Also my first time test knitting for her, and so it's been, wow, it's a very different experience than some of the other test knits I've been in. Her Discord is very, very, very chatty. So if you like that, and you haven't test knit for her before, probably would recommend that if you like those kinds of group chats. I kind of read through the messages mostly, and I don't really talk in them unless I have a question or something, but there's been so much chat that I can't really keep up. I can't really keep up with all the messages, but yeah, it's great that there's a nice group of people who are in the test and wanting to share their progress. Okay, this whole time I've been talking, I've been trying to lay this as flat as I can because I have actually finished knitting the main part of the vest, the entire body of the vest. It's just that it's all kind of curling in. See, I moved it a little bit and now the fronts are curled in, so you're like, what that looks weird. But let me just try and fold out one of them. It is a V-neck shaped vest here, so it's V-neck and then it goes straight down for the rest of the body. The yarn I'm using for this is Less Traveled yarn in the colorway Jade. It is a very, very lightly speckled colorway, so it kind of looks tonal from far away, and maybe even on camera the speckles are too small to pick up, but it's very, very pretty. And I'm knitting size 3, and I'm using US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles to knit this. And yeah, it's a test knit. So I finished the body, and which basically means it's almost done. This was worked, start with the back and then pick up for the two fronts until you connect them under the arms, and then you work them flat because it's open like this. It is in stockinette with the edging being like this broken rib detail. And that detail stitching also goes along the armholes, and also the hem at the bottom, and then it's I-cord edging to finish at the bottom. So really cute. Okay, I did do some bust shaping, even though I would say for my size I don't think I really need it, but it is, because it's a test knit, I wanted to make sure that I went through as much of the pattern as possible to make sure it all kind of worked out number wise. And so I'm trying to look for where you could maybe see those increases. So you might be able to see right here is where I did the bust increases. And then down here, it's really very spread out. I did just very few decreases for the waist shaping. And then I did one modification I made to the pattern. I did just lengthen the body like 1 inch longer. Just because I didn't want it to be as cropped as it was. And I think I really like the length that it's at right now. Okay. So, I'm almost done, but not quite done. But I'm almost there. I could probably and should probably finish it this coming week. I just need to to knit the I-cords to tie the ribbons, or the bow ties on this. And so I've actually finished one here. It's just a short, I think like 10-inch I-cord. And so I have to do the same. I started at the top, so it's right where the increases stop for the front, for the V-neck. And so I do have a stitch marker here. Oh my goodness. Right here. And so I'm going to make another one on that side so that this is so hard to work with because to hold up because it's rolling in. But I'll have, 2 matching, and so that I can tie it, and so that it'll be a bow right here at the front. And then I've been trying to figure out, do I want to do 2 bow ties across the front, or do I want to do 3? Because I think in Claire's version she has 3. But I feel like 3 might look like a lot on this one for some reason. I did put in stitch markers and I tried to like hold them where they would be and see where it pinches to see if how it would look on me. And I think I'm gonna go with 2. I think I like the placement of 2 ties instead. So that's what I'm gonna try with. You can see maybe on this side, this is the placement. This is obviously the top one, and then I've put the other one. I'm gonna put the other one here. And so there will be two ties right here. Honestly, the ties for this is what made me really want to make this. So yeah, it's exciting to be like on that part, even though it's an annoying I-cord to have to knit. And I'm not using like a cord smith to make them. I'm just doing it the way that you would do it without a cord smith, with just your knitting needles and slipping the stitches back and forth. And even though I find it a little bit annoying and tedious, I don't hate doing it. And so also they're pretty short ties to make with I-cord, even though I will have to make a total of 4 of them, but they're pretty short, and the gauge is pretty big for like the fingering weight yarn, so I'm not super concerned. This took me a pretty short amount of time to do. So I just have to do that, weave in the ends, wash and block, and then this will be done. And so yeah, this actually worked out pretty quickly, even though it's fingering weight yarn. I do think the gauge is pretty big for a fingering weight yarn. Also, I think I'm actually using like a light fingering weight yarn, because if I didn't add the 1 inch in the body, I think I could have knit this whole thing, including the I-cord ties, with one of those skeins. I think it has a 463 yards in one of these skeins. But I did have to dip in right at the end of the hem here into my second skein, and then just to finish up the ties. And so I'm going to have pretty much a full skein of this left over. But it's fine, because I think that this color works really nicely with this design. So yeah, I wish that I could hold this up and you can actually see the shaping of this with the ties, but I guess we'll have to wait for that until after I'm done with the ties and I wash and block this, for this to sit a little flatter so that you can see it. But yeah, this has been going really nicely. And it's going to be really fun to wear during the summer. I will probably wear this, I think Claire wears this just as like a tank top, like with nothing under it, like no t-shirt under it. But I will wear this wear this over like a t-shirt or a tank top. So yeah, so this is the Islander vest test knit. Okay, I have one more whip to talk about, and this one exciting because I haven't worked on this in a while, and I think the break on this was good because I've gotten more motivation now to work on it after I've worked on it a little bit this week. Let me hold it up. Ta-da! This is my book club cardigan. This is a pattern by Sari Nordlund, and I am using Woolberry Fiber Co. Berry Worsted yarn in the colorway New York in the Fall. So pretty. Love this colorway, especially in all of the cables. It's really nice. It looks really nice on camera too. I am knitting size 1, and I'm using US 6 needles, 4.0 millimeter needles to knit this. I've talked about to but I am using modifications for this pattern. I've talked about it before. There's kind of a lot. Meghan has also talked about this a lot on her podcast, and she's the one who helped with the mod instructions for all the rest of us in our knitting group who are knitting this and using the mods. But there's like this nice little cable that's going across that back seam there. But I finally picked this back up after I cast off or finished off all of those projects. I was like, what projects do I have still on my needles that I haven't worked on in a while? And it took me a bit. I was like, do I want to go back and work on this? I think that, I've had some troubles knitting this when I started it. I had to rip back some parts of it. and there was just so much cables. I felt kind of overwhelmed, and so that's kind of why I stopped working on it for some time. But I was like, I still want to finish it. I still want the finished object, and so I picked it back up, and I feel better about it. I worked a little bit on the body this week. I finished up whatever ball of yarn I was attached to. So I'm trying to find, I think this is my stitch marker for the body this week, right here. And so I worked about this much on the body. This is a lot of cables. It's really a lot of cables, but I was kind of getting into the groove, and so I got a little bit more of that body done, looking more like a cardigan. And then, as you can see, I finished a whole sleeve. The sleeve has the cable pattern on it, right at the top here. And maybe it's because it's at a bigger gauge, it's a worsted weight yarn. The sleeve honestly worked up pretty quickly. I finished it I worked on it, I started it yesterday night, and I finished it this morning, or part of this morning, part of this afternoon. So, I kind of a sleeve in a day, maybe, as Emily would say. And I'm surprised, again, because it's cabled. I mean, there is moss stitch right on the bottom side of the sleeve, but I'm shocked. The whole body feels like it takes forever, and I think it does, but the sleeve really felt like it didn't take that long. Maybe part of it is because it is a drop shoulder cardigan, that the sleeves are a little bit shorter, but yeah, basically, as you can see from the pattern, 4 full repeats of the chart I did for the sleeve. You can see the diamonds, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I purposefully finished it right here. I actually made the sleeve shorter length than the pattern says, maybe by an inch, but I made the cuff the same size because I tried it on and it actually is a fine length, and I wanted to finish it at this part of the chart. I didn't want to kind of start a fourth of the next kind of triangle and then, have the sleeve and the length was fine again too, so I just stopped it there. I will maybe try to hold this up to me so you can just see what the sleeve length is looking like right now. I mean, look, I can hold it pretty comfortably. Yeah, it looks like a great sleeve length, and so I'm very happy with that. And it's looking great. I think it really helps that the sleeve felt like it took a really short amount of time, that I am going to later today cast on or pick up stitches for the second sleeve, and I'm hoping to finish the second sleeve this coming week. I mean, really this sleeve took me within a span of 24 hours of the day, not working on it for 24 hours, but within a 24-hour span I finished the sleeve, which is crazy. Is that right? Did I? Yeah. I picked up this sleeve yesterday. So, crazy, but really helps with my motivation for working on this. And so, maybe that this will, I'm going to pick up the second sleeve today. I'm feeling happy working on this right now. So, I'm going to, keep that momentum going on this. But it's looking so great. It's really looking so nice and cozy. All the cables right now. I'm very happy. Oh, I want to mention that part of the mods for this, and also Meghan doing a lot of research on this and what people have said about this cardigan, is that a lot of people in their project pages, I think, said that the sleeves felt pretty small and that they've picked up stitches for the sleeve 2 sizes up. I went with the size 1 sleeve, so matching the rest of my cardigan sizing and stitch counts. I picked up at a rate around the arm of picking up 2 stitches out of every 3, and that pretty much perfectly lined up with the stitch count for size 1. And you can see it does kind of bring it in just a tad right at the armhole, but it not anything super crazy. The sleeve is more of a fitted sleeve for sure, but I don't mind it. Not enough to make that change. I'm also kind of worried I'm going to run out of yarn, because that was another thing that people have said, was that the yardage estimates were on the smaller side, and I think a lot of people ran out of yarn. And because I'm doing the mods that have added more stitches and yardage, more cables, probably even more yarn usage for this particular, this cardigan. However, looking at the sleeve, again, if this does not block wider, I'm okay with how it feels on my arm right now. However, I do think that with blocking, I could get a little more circumference out of this sleeve. I have this feeling. I will at least try to block it a little bit like wider like this. So, but yeah, it's looking good. Feels great. Worsted weight project with cables. So yeah, it'd be kind of cool to have 2 sleeves by next week. But yeah, I want to hold it up because I'm really happy that it's back on the things that I'm working on, and that I'm actually happy working on it this time. I think in the beginning, when I first cast this on and was working on it, I was really nervous about all of the mods, and I was just like trying to I just want to get through this section. I just need to know that I did it correctly, and like to go back and forth. It was hard for me to kind of like figure out what I was doing, and that's kind of why I wasn't really enjoying working on it, but I have been enjoying working on it the past, 2 days that I've been working on it, so I'm happy. I'm really happy that has changed for me for this cardigan, so I'm hoping to keep that momentum going. I also was worried about, I kind of stopped working on the body because even though I wasn't at the length yet where I needed to figure out how to do the pockets, I was nervous about it, and so that's also why I stopped working on the body of that cardigan. But I've read through the instructions and I feel a lot more confident now too, and so I'm not that nervous about the pockets on the body. So yeah, so finally back on the needles, back working on it, my book club cardigan. Yay. Okay, so that's it. That's all. Just a short list of whips. After the long list of finished objects, let's move on to spinning, because I did do some spinning this week too. Okay. Accomplishment. I have finished my 3rd bobbin of my sweater spin. This is the ZZ Textiles Rambouillet fiber in the colorway Albertjutschel. And I finished my 3rd bobbin, which means I'm officially 3/4 of the way done with my sweater spin, and so I only have 1 more of these to do. I really, really pushed out. I think I spun 2.5 ounces of fiber this week for this, and now I just have 5 more ounces to go. Oh, I cannot wait to ply this. I cannot wait to have. I feel like it's been a while since I've got to hug skeins, a sweater quantity of hand spun skeins, and so wow, I'm feeling really good about this. I just want to get it done. I want to have the final skeins. I want to look at the final skeins and not just bobbins of singles. But very happy that I have a 3rd full bobbin done. So that was big accomplishment number 1 for spinning. And then I finally did start a new spin on because I'm working the sweater spin on my electric wheel. I did start a new spin on my ladybug wheel, just a short amount. I started this. This is a Nest Fiber Club fiber, super fine merino in the colorway Glad Tidings. This is actually I can't believe it, from November 2023. Gosh. So did want to show you, I did kind of split them out. I'm going to do this in my normal 2-ply that I like to do, which is a fractal spin. I'm doing a 2-4 fractal spin, so these are the 4 little balls. I usually do, this is how I split it up. I have the 2 balls for the first half of the plying that I usually do first, just sitting out because I can do that, and then I The other half, which I split into 4, I just put them back in the bag for safekeeping and to keep myself organized somewhat. But yeah, I can't believe this was from November 2023. 2023 just feels like so long ago for some reason, but I still remember like getting this fiber colorway, and so I just can't believe it's been that long since then. But I wanted to show you because I feel like in this form and also spun up on the bobbin looks very different than what all the colors that you can see when I hold it out. And so I did, thankfully, I was like just about, well, I didn't finish one of my balls on here in time for the podcast, and so I had to rip off that piece of fiber to take the bobbin off the wheel. But let me hold up. This is a really nice rest of the strand of fiber. It's like a rainbow. It's a rainbow. I feel like you don't get that. You don't see that spun on the bobbin. It really just looks more like fall colors plus blue is how I would describe it. But when I hold up this one strand, these are all the colors that are in it. It is a rainbow. Red. And it's in the order too. Red, orange, orangish, yellowish, green, blue, and some purple. Like it is a rainbow. And so I do find it very interesting spun up that it just, the colors that stand out and come out after spun just look pretty different from the strands out here. But yeah, very cool, very interesting. The rainbow makes me happy, and I feel like it's a good spin for right now. Just in terms of just the colors making me happy, and also it is a super fine merino, so it is very soft. I've been spinning a lot of like rambouillet, which is a different kind of softness, but it's been, I want to say it's been a while since I've spun a super fine merino. It's really nice and soft. But yeah, so I just started that. I don't really have plans for how quickly I want to spin that, but I'm just spinning it for whenever I'm feeling it. But I do think that this one will be another hand spun prize for the Knitalong that I'm a part of. I've mentioned before the PKW Flock U Knitalong with Emily and Meghan. And so again, that is the Knitalong that we're hosting for Flock, that at least our group is hosting for. Like the end date of the Knitalong is at the end of Flock, and started I think a few weeks ago, and it is just knit like a Tori U pattern, so that's why I'm knitting the Metropolitan pullover for that one. But yeah, feel free to join. If you haven't heard about it before, you can still join. I think that towards the end, to be entered for prizes, I think Meghan is going to have like a Google form or something to fill out. To be entered for prizes, and she has a Discord, so reach out to me or her, probably her, because she'll have the actual like link to share with you to be added to the Discord for the Knitalong. But yeah, it's been a fun time, and I haven't been super active on Discord. I just like never am really active in like chats and stuff, but I do take a peek every now and then and like to see what you all are making for it. It's really fun. I think we're gonna plan. You don't have to go to Flock in order to participate in this Knitalong, but I think we are planning like a meetup, I think, at Flock this year. Yeah. Okay, so I think that, no, I have an acquisition. A really short one to talk about. This is the fiber from the Year of Fiber from La Mercerie for the month of June, and so if you haven't seen it yet, then maybe look away. But Jess has also, actually, has she posted on Instagram? I think she sent an email out with the colorway for the yarn and also for the fiber for June, but I am going to hold it up now, just in case you don't want to see it. But I did get it in the mail last week. So again, Year of Fiber, June for this year, and this is from Storyteller Stitchery, which I've never heard of before, so that's really nice to get fiber from someplace I haven't heard of before. And I believe the colorway is Coastal Bloom, and this is 100% BFL. So I'm going to hold it up now. and it has a lot of colors in it. Some really nice purples, just like different shades of purple, and some gray, and some kind of like peachy colors there, and some kind of like lighter green, bluish kind of colors, green, and all of that. And yeah, I think that like spun up, some of the brighter colors will probably blend and kind of lighten up with all of the other kind of like lighter, more pastel-y colors that are all throughout here. And what's really cool so far is that La Mercerie has posted, like when they post the year of sock and year of fiber, I think they both, the sock and the fiber, get for the month, get the same color inspiration pictures. But sometimes they look very different, sometimes they look very similar. It's just really cool to see what colors they decide to pick out of to kind of like really emphasize in the yarn or the fiber. But she also, someone will have spun up this fiber, so you can see kind of like an example of what the hand spun would look like in the fiber. And I really I feel like I wouldn't have expected it to look the way that the colors look in fiber form. And I think that is always like fun and yeah, just fun to kind of like see sometimes what you would think that the hand spun would look like from the fiber is different than what it looks like. And so yeah, I feel like I would say this isn't one that I would feel drawn to just in the fiber form, just because of the colors aren't the colors that are in it are pretty, but they're not ones that I would gravitate towards if I were to just like buy it. But the final resulting hand spun, at least from the sample that La Mercerie posted, I really like. So this should be an interesting one to spin up at some point. Also, for a BFL, this feels very soft. So I'm intrigued, very intrigued. I always, honestly, whenever I think of BFL, I don't think soft. I think kind of like hairy feeling. But this one feels soft, so I'm excited. Yeah. Okay, now that is all I have. Today was a bit of a longer video, just because I can't believe how many finished objects I had in this video. Which means, finished objects from this week. But I'm really happy about it. I started to feel a little overwhelmed with how many things I had on the needles at the time. So, feel happy. I think I'm now down to 5. And that feels a bit more manageable than like 9, approaching 10 potentially. So, feeling happy. I'm feeling a bit more relaxed. Feeling a bit more calm. So that's really nice. Some life updates, I guess, since I maybe haven't done that in some time. Fun, interesting, for skating, maybe a sad story first. It's not that sad, but, well, maybe. Well, so there is an ice skating competition this week. It's happening right now, that I wanted to sign up for, but I was too late to sign up. I didn't miss the deadline. It's just they closed it early because so many people signed up. And so I didn't sign up in time. I was on the wait list. Didn't think that I was going to hear back anyway, but I did order a dress since I do have a new program this year that I've never performed yet. I did order a new dress for it to match the program music. And I ordered it off of, it was someone I ordered from before. It is like custom made, but they do have like designs that you can just say, I like this design and here's like my measurements. So it's custom made for my measurements. And it's going to take like a few months because it is, again, like made. And I was expecting it to come maybe like 2 weeks ago. Got the shipping notification and just no shipping updates. Like the shipping update was like dropped off at shipping, the shipping label was printed and then dropped off at the store and then nothing for 2 weeks. And so I finally reached out and I was like, I don't know what happened to the package. I haven't gotten it yet. Looked into it, inquiry was made, and they lost the package. And I thankfully didn't sign up for the competition because then I wouldn't have the dress. Although if it did end up that I would compete and, perform it, I have other dresses. It just wouldn't really match the theme, but, it's fine. But, so it kind of all worked out. But I just feel so sad for the seller of the dress because they handmade this thing, custom made, and it got lost in the mail. How sad. You know, I sure hope that they get the monetary value of it back from the shipper, from the shipping company, but I would just be so sad because they would have to remake it for me because I still really want the dress. And I just feel sad, and I feel like, you know, coming from, you know, like, I'm just thinking if I, like, knit a whole garment for someone and shipped it out and then it got lost, you know, even if I got money, the monetary value of it back, it's still like that time and effort put into it that's lost, and it's so sad. So I do feel sad for the seller, but they've been so kind about it, and they said they will remake me the dress because the dress is so pretty. I will, when I get it, I will show it to you all. I know it's not related to knitting at all, but just in case you're interested in, you know, that other part of my life, I will show you all the dress. It is so pretty. They took pictures of it before they shipped it, and so they sent me the pictures on what it looks like, and I'm so excited to get it. I don't know what the timeline is for this next remake of it, but I'm looking forward to it. And but anyway, so I'm not competing this weekend. But I did go to watch my friends today, and I'm going to watch my friends tomorrow too. And today was really fun. There was a little cheering section of us skating for, you know, our friends, skaters from the same skating club. And yeah, it's always fun. But like, I didn't expect to feel as nervous as I felt. Like, obviously when I'm performing, I feel very nervous. But when I was watching my friends, even before they went on, I was like, I'm so nervous for them because I know they work so hard, and I know they're nervous too. But I think they all did really great. I'm so proud of them, especially the adult skaters. You know, it's really hard to put yourself out there as an adult, doing a new thing that, you know, sometimes people feel like it's like a weird hobby to have or to start as an adult. But like, I am proud of all of my friends who went out there and did the brave thing of performing. You know, I feel like as an adult skater, when, at least for me, when I think about competing, it really is like, it's nice to get a medal, to get, you know, a high score, and, you know, all of that. But I feel like just getting out there and just doing the thing makes you a winner, you know? It's a hard thing to do. So yeah, I'm just proud of my friends, and I'm gonna watch more of my friends skate tomorrow, so that should be pretty fun. I'm gonna feel nervous for them, but I do like cheering them on. And yeah. Okay, I think that's it. It is dinner time now. I need to make dinner. I am hungry. But it's nice that now this time of the year the sun stays out a lot later, so it doesn't feel as late. It's not like really dark outside now, which it would be in the winter time. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Do you have a favorite of any of my finished objects that I finished this week? I will wear them in future podcast episodes, and I will have buttons sewn on to the ones that are most important. I would say the cardigan will have buttons on it when I wear it. The Market Henley, maybe not, depending, because you can still wear it. It's just small, it's 3 small little buttons at the top. So anyway, I'm very happy with all of those. I'm excited to be working on some of the projects that I kind of stopped working on for some time. So I'm excited to pick those back up and kind of like get more things off of my needles and cast on some new things. So yeah, as always, let me know in the comments down below what you've been working on while listening or watching this podcast. And yeah, I hope you all have a great upcoming week, and I'll see you all in next week's video. Bye!